Chapter 1. I came home after pulling an all-nighter at work, only to find my wife's and her male assistant's location pinging at Hermes. The male assistant posted on his social media, showing off a new pair of Hermes underwear, a little perk for working overtime, picked out by the boss lady herself. I frowned, looking at the $500,000 charge on my card, and was about to ask what was going on. But my wife, Victoria Ashford, who had just returned, slapped me across the face. Could we have landed so many clients without Ethan's connections? It's a small reward. Do you have to be so green with envy? Besides, you're just a live-in son-in-law in my family. Know your place and stop meddling in my affairs. I was about to explain, but Victoria turned and walked away. From the passenger seat of her car, Ethan Vance shot me a provocative middle finger. Not long after, I received a termination notice from HR, announcing that Ethan Vance would be replacing me as the new investment director. And the person who approved it was none other than my dear wife, Victoria. While Victoria and her male assistant were celebrating at Hermes, I was working overtime at the office. Due to the recent volatility in the stock market, I had been pulling all-nighters for a week, analyzing investment data to get the company ready for its IPO as soon as possible. My wife's birthday was next week, and I rubbed my temples, wondering what gift to get her. When I opened my phone, the first thing I saw was Ethan Vance's social media post, an intimate gift personally selected by the beautiful boss. The next second, my phone buzzed with a notification for a $500,000 charge. The purchase record was for a pair of men's Hermes underwear. They were identical to the diamond-studded pair in the photo. Rumors had been circulating in the company for a while that my wife and her subordinate were too close. My heart pounded in my chest. I just wanted to go home and ask her about it face to face. I made the 90-minute drive in just 30 minutes, but the house was empty. It wasn't until 3 in the morning that Victoria returned. But instead of the explanation I expected, I was met with a stinging slap. What nonsense did you say to Ethan? He's refusing to accept the Hermes gift. My head was spinning and my face throbbed with pain, but Victoria continued to question me. Instead of working overtime at the office, you just run home to slack off. I really don't know what goes on in your head all day. One word from Ethan is worth 10 years of your useless efforts. What's wrong with me buying a gift to encourage an employee? I cut her off impatiently. What kind of encouragement requires $500,000 underwear? You've never even given me such an intimate gift. Who is your husband here? Victoria froze for a moment, then burst out laughing mockingly. Oh, please. I see what this is about. I gave Ethan Hermes because he deserves it. How dare you compare yourself to him? Just look at the state you're in. The explanation I had prepared was caught in my throat, and a chill spread through my body. I had aged a lot over the years, but wasn't it all for her? Because of Victoria's repeated pleas, I gave up my PhD path after graduation and went to work for her family's investment firm to help her manage the business. On one hand, I felt for her after her parents' sudden death. On the other, she had married me without hesitation, saying I was the only one who could save her company from crisis. I poured my heart and soul into it, working sleepless nights. For years, I sacrificed all my personal time, not even buying myself a single new piece of clothing. Whenever Victoria cried, I felt immense guilt and heartache, wanting only to do more for her. But my hard work had been turned into cash, turned into another man's Hermes underwear. The thought was utterly laughable. Seeing my continued silence, Victoria coughed lightly.
All right, that's enough. It's not like I didn't get you a gift.
Here. With that, Victoria casually grabbed a box and tossed it onto the sofa. I opened it. Inside was a pair of women's lingerie. The fabric in the crotch area was wrinkled, clearly having been worn recently. I felt sick to my stomach and threw it on the floor. Sincere Clark, what is your problem? I can overlook your petty jealousy, but now I give you the intimate gift you wanted and you throw a tantrum? Isn't this what you wanted? A gift? Someone's used hand-me-downs? I sneered and wiped my hands with a wet wipe. I don't want things other people have used. I find them filthy. I expected Victoria to lash out, but she didn't react. I looked up and saw her giggling at her phone screen, a shy look on her face. I didn't have to guess whose messages she was reading. Victoria eagerly slipped on her high heels and said with casual disdain, "You have no sense of fun. You're so boring." She slammed the door shut, but her playful voice still echoed in the stairwell. "Darling, buy whatever you like. Just put it on the company's tab. What does he matter? It's my family's company, so of course I call the shots. Don't be afraid of him. I've got your back." Victoria's voice faded away, but the smell of smoke lingered in the house. After we got married, she said she didn't like the smell of smoke, so I quit. There was no need to ask where such a strong scent of smoke had come from, or why it clung to her. And to think I was planning a birthday surprise for her. I was being cheated on, and still thinking about how to grow old with her. I slapped myself hard across the face. Sincere Clark, you deserved these 10 years of misery. Chapter 2. After facing reality, the first thing I did was turn off my alarm. I used to worry the company couldn't function without me, always being the first to arrive and the last to leave. Now I simply turned off my phone. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. When I woke up naturally, it was already 1 in the afternoon. I slowly got up to find something to eat. To my surprise, I found an angry-looking Victoria in the living room. "You left work early yesterday, and today you're absent without reason. Do you know how many things at the company have been delayed because of you? Can you afford to cover the company's losses?" I almost laughed out loud at the absurdity. Yesterday, she said my efforts were useless compared to his. Today, my absence is causing major losses for the company. I glanced at Victoria coolly. "Don't you have your male assistant? What do you need me for?" Victoria gave me an I knew it look and pulled a gift box from her bag, handing it to me. "Here, this is the latest Hermes tie. Satisfied now?" She was no longer being bossy, her tone softened. It was as if she was saying, "I've given you a way out, don't push your luck." But I just stared at the exquisite tie, not taking it. Shortly after Victoria and I got married, to help her deal with a difficult creditor, I had my hands tied with the tie and was humiliated, forced to drink and smile through it all. I ended up in the hospital with a bleeding stomach. In the hospital, Victoria held me and cried inconsolably. Her eyes red, she untied the tie and said she would remember that day forever and never let me suffer for her again. She threw the tie away, saying she never wanted to see me wear one again because it would break her heart. But that was only a few years ago. How could she forget everything? Then again, life was good now, and people change. How could a woman whose heart was set on someone else remember the hardships we faced together, or the man who silently supported her from behind? Just then, a message popped up on my phone. I opened it. It was a picture from Ethan Vance, showing off his haul from the previous day. Several Hermes crocodile leather bags, lots of Hermes diamond jewelry, and ready-to-wear clothing. The sales associate helping to pack it all was beaming. Attached was a receipt, which clearly included 1 Hermes tie. Ethan then sent another picture of his middle finger, full of mockery. "You didn't know, did you? The thing you treasure is just a freebie that came with my purchase. And the woman you can't hold on to? Behind your back, she can't get enough of me." I let out a cold laugh, the warmth completely gone from my eyes. At first, I thought Victoria had just forgotten our past, or that she had grown cold. Now I saw that wasn't it at all. Someone had already crossed the line, and this family was no longer in her heart. So why prolong the agony, maintaining a facade of peace? What was the point? I looked her straight in the eye and said calmly, "The gift isn't necessary. I'll have my lawyer send you the divorce papers. Make sure you sign them." Before I could finish, Victoria shot up, pointing a finger at me angrily. "Sincere Clark, that's enough. I've compensated you with a gift. I've given you a way out. What are you still whining and complaining about? If you're jealous that I bought things for Ethan, just say so. Throwing a tantrum like this isn't manly at all. No wonder I look down on you more and more." She didn't even look at my face, completely absorbed in humiliating me. "And get this straight, this company was left to me by my parents. You're just a live-in son-in-law, a freeloader. What right do you have to be angry with me? It's thanks to Ethan's connections that we brought in tens of millions in business. I should be buying him a house, let alone rewarding him with Hermes. If you don't like it, suck it up, you good-for-nothing man. Victoria's tirade made me rub my temples. Although I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore, it was clear she misunderstood where that windfall deal came from. I still wanted to explain whether you reward him with Hermes bags or jewelry has nothing to do with me, but that deal from last week was my... Before I could finish, Victoria slapped me again. Ethan was right. You really are a lowlife. It's disgusting enough that you're so petty about money, but now you want to steal someone else's credit. Just look at yourself. Your clothes are ragged and you're unshaven and scruffy. What makes you think you can compare to him? I froze for a few seconds, then let out a genuine, bitter laugh. My clothes were all old models, and I usually didn't care about my appearance. That was because my days were spent either looking at data or in meetings. When the market fluctuated, I had to stay up all night monitoring domestic and international trends, seizing every second for investment opportunities. Where would I find the time to care about my looks? In contrast, Victoria, my wife, had time to go shopping with her male assistant but had never once bought me a decent new set of clothes. Back in college, I was the golden boy, the heartthrob of the finance department. I had the looks and the brains. What did I lack? But the overtime and the stress quickly took their toll, and I lost my former vigor. And the funniest part is, in our industry, what matters is an investor's ability, which is built on years of accumulated experience and a deep knowledge of finance. And a kid like Ethan Vance, who only knows how to compare Hermes purchases and get jealous, where would he get the connections and clients to shake up the stock market and negotiate multi-million-dollar deals? But Victoria had never considered any of this. I didn't feel sad, only regretful. I regretted wasting so many years of my prime on someone like her. It was so not worth it. I thought my sacrifices would earn me respect and care, but it turned out I was only fooling myself. Victoria was at fault in our marriage all these years. But I wasn't entirely innocent either. I was too soft, and that's why I let people walk all over me. Oh, say whatever you want, the divorce papers. Don't make me remind you a second time. I turned and went back to the study, closing the door behind me. Whatever happened outside that door had nothing to do with me anymore. Chapter 3. I called a moving company to come to the house and then calmly went back to watching the stock market. When the moving company called to say they were on their way, Victoria, surprisingly, hadn't left. I walked right past her and packed my few belongings. Sincere Clark, you're acting tough now, aren't you? I'll give you one last chance. If you agree to come back to work and apologize to Ethan in front of everyone, we'll let this go. How about it? I stopped in front of her, and Victoria looked at me with confident mockery. You've been a freeloader for so many years, you know life without me won't be easy. Why put on this show about divorce? Ethan is very magnanimous, he'll forgive you even if you don't. Excuse me, you're in my way. I spoke nonchalantly, but I saw Victoria's expression change from sunny to stormy, her face completely frozen. Fine, I'd like to see what becomes of you without me, and without the company the movers arrived, and I turned and left without a backward glance. As soon as I got to my hotel, I received the HR notification from the company. It announced I had been fired, and my position as investment director was being filled by Ethan Vance. The moment this news was posted on the official website, my phone started buzzing non-stop. A call came in almost every minute, and messages on my social apps popped up constantly. I knew exactly what these messages were about, but I didn't feel like dealing with them at the moment. I also knew that the news of my dismissal would not only cause an earthquake within the company, but would also quickly make headlines across the industry. Without hesitation, I confirmed my departure and then made a phone call. Yes, there's been a problem with the recent orders. Cancel them all. And by the way, sort out the company's books and send them to me. Victoria really thought she and that pretty boy could take over the company I had spent 10 years of my life building. I, Sincere Clark, never suffer in silence. Thinking about the spectacular drama that was about to unfold, I laughed out loud. Chapter 4. I counted the days. On the morning of the 5th day, I was woken from my sleep by a loud pounding on the door. When I opened it, I saw Victoria and Ethan Vance standing there. Victoria looked anxious, while Ethan, dressed in a full army suit, shot me a disdainful glance. The stock market has hit its limit. The company is surrounded by angry clients, and someone is threatening to jump from the building. This was your project, you have to go and handle it. Victoria frantically grabbed my arm, but I pulled away. Miss Ashford, have you forgotten? You already fired me. You were so righteous when you told me to get lost. Now you want to beg me to come back? Is that even possible? I ignored the two at the door, casually walked back to the dining table, and slowly started eating my breakfast. Victoria was clearly furious, but could only suppress her anger and force a fawning smile. Husband, I've had a bad attitude lately. Don't be angry anymore. Once you get the company through this crisis, I'll let you come back. I'll forgive you for everything that's happened, okay? No. I ate my breakfast without even looking up. Seeing that I wasn't falling for it, Victoria's face immediately turned cold, and she threatened, Sincere Clark, don't choose the hard way. If you're going to stab us in the back, I'll announce it to our entire professional network and see which company dares to hire you then. Victoria looked smug, but I just stared at her, baffled by her confidence. Ethan fanned the flames from the side. Vicky, don't be angry. A person as ungrateful as him isn't worth it. Look, you're all red in the face from anger. Vicky came all the way here in person. How can you be so shameless? I sneered. Then why are you looking for me? Aren't you the newly appointed investment director? You're the one in charge, you handle it. Ethan was speechless with rage, his eyes turning red. Seeing this, Victoria's heart ached for him. Sincere Clark, don't think the company can't run without you. Ethan is young and has resources. He's more familiar with the company's affairs than you are. He just needs time to learn. I'll remember what happened today. I'll make you kneel and apologize to Ethan. I'll make you leave with nothing. Let's go with that. Victoria grabbed Ethan and started to leave. But as she opened the door, she found it was completely blocked. A crowd of people surged in. Everyone present, except for Victoria and Ethan, was an influential figure in the industry. Ethan was keenly aware of this. He straightened his suit and hurried forward to greet them. Mr. Lawrence, hello. I've heard so equiously. Mr. Clark, I have a $500 million project. Could I trouble your firm to manage the portfolio for me? The commission and dividends are negotiable. Before I could speak, another investment magnate squeezed through, bowing and handing me a business card. Mr. Clark, I implore you to give me a chance to cooperate. The new company you founded is an industry legend. New company? Industry legend? Victoria, who had been walking away, stopped dead in her tracks. She rushed over, her voice trembling. The Mr. Clark you're talking about, it couldn't be? I let out a cold laugh and replied faintly, That's right. It's the useless wreck you thought was nothing. I adjusted my cuffs and announced with a smile. Everyone, cooperation is not a problem. I just have one small condition. The people in the room were overjoyed, waiting for me to continue. I stepped forward, looked down at Victoria, and declared, word by word, my only condition for cooperation is that any company I work with will never have to see these two again. Victoria and Ethan's faces turned deathly pale. They instantly dropped to their knees and began kowtowing frantically to me. Please, Mr. Clark, give me another chance. I curled my lip. Of course. At the top of the stairs, the police were already waiting. Miss Ashford, we have received a report that Ashford Investments is suspected of tax evasion. Please cooperate with our investigation. Chapter 5. The police entered with law enforcement officers. I was just about to leave when Victoria broke free from the police and rushed over to grab my arm. The business owners nearby were startled and quickly tried to pull her away, but Victoria held onto me tightly, using all her strength, refusing to let me go. Sincere Clark, explain yourself. When did you become a CEO behind my back? We've been married for so many years, don't I know you? You're just a guy from the countryside with no background. How dare you dream of being a CEO? What kind of act are you putting on? You don't think hiring a bunch of extras to put on a show for me will stop me from divorcing you, do you? What a pipe dream at that moment. A police officer held his ID right up to Victoria's face. Miss Ashford, do you know what the penalty is for slandering a police officer? And right now, we are not asking for your cooperation. The court has issued a search warrant to seal your company's assets. There's no time for you to throw a tantrum here. You must come with us. To be honest, under Mr. Clark's management, Ashford Investments has been a leading financial firm in our city, a major taxpayer, and an industry leader. The government holds Ashford Investments in high regard, but you had to let some pretty boy who knows nothing run the company, creating a huge tax evasion mess, causing its reputation to plummet, and forcing the company and its employees to take the fall. You're ruining Ashford's future. The officer's tirade was like a bucket of cold water, completely snapping the frantic Victoria back to her senses. She realized the gravity of the situation, her face pale as she apologized, her eyes constantly darting towards me. But I was already striding out, and Victoria could only watch me leave. At that moment, Ethan quickly blocked Victoria's plea for help and comforted her. Vicky, Sincere is just a country bumpkin. He has no say in anything. This is just his moment in the spotlight. The most important thing now is to appease the company's board of directors. We need to get back to the office quickly.
Victoria, understanding nothing, could only nod anxiously. Right, you're right. Who does Sincere think he is?
We'll deal with him later. As they went downstairs, the billionaire Mr. Lawrence was holding a car door open for me. He had his driver waiting downstairs in a Rolls-Royce Phantom early in the morning. He respectfully held the door open for me to get in. Mr. Clark, your ex-wife and that pretty boy have been walking all over you. I've disliked them for a long time. Just say the word, and I'll make them disappear by tomorrow, a talented young man like you, getting stuck with two toads. Why don't you come to my company? You can name your salary and benefits. I'd even give you the company. My daughter just graduated this year. She's 20, beautiful as a flower. If you agree, I'll have her be your secretary immediately.
I frowned impatiently. As Victoria and Ethan came down, they saw this exact scene.
They stood frozen in place, but the other business owners, accustomed to this, were not surprised. They knew my capabilities and had wanted to curry favor with me for a long time. They also knew that Victoria's former company had been turned from a loss to a profit entirely by me. So the moment I left, they all knew Ashford Investments was just an empty shell. But Victoria, not understanding, went berserk. She questioned the business owners around her. Are you all sucking up to Sincere Clark now that you see Ashford is in crisis? You're all just a bunch of fair-weather friends. When the company goes public, don't come begging me. The business owners looked at her like she was an idiot and spat in her direction. You still don't get it? The only reason Ashford got this far is because of Sincere Clark's efforts. Without him at the helm, who would want to cooperate with Ashford? What did you think we were investing in Ashford for? For a couple of meals with your pretty boy? Ridiculous. Mr. Clark's judgment of the financial market and his top-tier investment skills are the benchmark of our industry. That's why we follow his lead. Did you really think it was your credit, Victoria? If Mr. Clark hadn't married a spendthrift broad like you, we would have only cooperated with Ashford until now to spare his feelings. Sincere was stuck at Ashford, couldn't even get a CEO title, and was pushed around by a pretty boy. And you? Taking the money Mr. Clark worked so hard to earn and buying Hermes underwear for a pretty boy. Have you no shame? Marrying you was the worst luck of Sincere's life too. After saying this, they escorted me to the car, still muttering. Don't worry, Mr. Clark, we will never cooperate with Ashford again. We won't invest a single penny. Victoria was so shocked by what was happening that she collapsed onto the ground. I sighed and pinched the bridge of my nose impatiently. Sign the divorce papers. I don't want to make this uglier than it has to be. I said this calmly, but anyone could hear the authority in my voice. Victoria's jaw dropped as she stared at me. I turned and got into the car without any lingering attachment. In the rearview mirror, I saw Ethan try to help Victoria up, but she shoved him away violently. The two of them started arguing, attracting a crowd of onlookers. It wasn't until Ethan placed a hand on Victoria's stomach, forced a smile, and said a few words that she managed to get back on her feet. I sneered and closed my eyes. Chapter 6. To my surprise, the next day I saw Victoria waiting for me right outside my hotel. She had shed her arrogant demeanor from the day before, now dressed in a chic pink tweed suit, apologizing to me with a gentle expression. When I refused her, she didn't get angry and continued to seek me out every day. She would either bring a thermal flask saying she had made me soup or bring me new clothes, never mentioning the divorce papers. After a week of this, I finally lost my patience. Victoria, that's enough. You know I mean what I say and no one can change my mind. Victoria's face turned white, her hands wrinkling the suit jacket she was holding. Large teardrops fell from her eyes as she covered her ears and shook her head in distress. Husband, I know you did more for this marriage than I did. I didn't see how good you were to me before, but now I understand. You were the best to me, the one who loved me the most. I was the one who didn't cherish you. We've been married for 5 years. You loved me so much before, and what married couple holds a grudge overnight? Please, just forgive me this once I've broken things off with Ethan Vance. Really, believe me now, you're the only one in my heart, Victoria cried pitifully. But my gaze swept over her slightly bulging abdomen, and I sneered inwardly. It seemed Ethan was getting desperate, so eager to find a second-hand father for his child. But we had been together for 5 years after all. I wanted to make things clear. I cleared my throat and said calmly, no matter how unpretentious I am, I would never accept someone else's second-hand junk. That goes for underwear, and it goes for wives too. Victoria, there are some things you know perfectly well. How many dirty deeds did you do behind my back during our 5 years of marriage? How much money did you embezzle from the company? If I wanted to, I could easily investigate it all and hand it over to the police. I just can't be bothered. We're both adults, so let's stop pretending. The moment you chose Ethan Vance, this marriage existed in name only. Victoria's face was deathly pale, but I didn't pause. Ashford has nothing to do with me anymore, and I'm not going to clean up your mess. From now on, we're making a clean break. And don't come looking for me again, because the history of me falling in love with you is truly embarrassing. Chapter 7. Victoria left, dejected, but perhaps because the situation at Ashford was so dire, or perhaps because she was truly scared, she didn't give up and came to see me for the next month, no matter what I said. I was completely disappointed in her. This marriage used to be a cherished memory, but now it was like a stain that made me sick to recall. I was eager to make a clean break with the past when Mr. Lawrence came to see me. He told me that Ashford was now a complete mess, a heap of loose sand. Because I had left, many shareholders and partners heard the news and ran off. Without me at the helm, the orders that were halfway through all fell apart. As if that wasn't enough, due to my private report, Ashford was now mired in tax problems and might face huge fines. Victoria might even go to jail. In truth, Ashford had years of my hard work poured into it. All these things combined wouldn't have been enough to cause immediate bankruptcy. But Victoria, in a desperate gamble, had given Ethan full control of the company. As the new president, Ethan waved his hand and abandoned my previous policies, investing many clients' assets into the riskiest projects. He wanted to bet on a long shot, but investing wasn't as simple as he thought. My previous management and investment strategies were built on accumulated experience, while Ethan's reckless decisions caused many clients to lose everything. Not only did they cause a huge uproar, but they also demanded that Ashford compensate them for their losses. They completely tore off the facade, stormed into Ashford to find this pair of masterminds, and physically assaulted them, even carrying away company property on the spot to cover the debts. In less than a few months, the company that once had hundreds of employees and was on the verge of an IPO was bankrupted by Ethan. All that was left was a deserted mess. Mr. Lawrence grew more cheerful as he spoke. Those two had long since ruined their reputation in our industry. They were incompetent and had a bad attitude. He had been annoyed with them for a long time too. And I hadn't been idle these past 2 months either. I had already established my own company. Thanks to my personal abilities and my past outstanding results, I quickly attracted a large amount of investment. Overnight, my company grew to over 100 people, and many of my former colleagues, hearing the news, immediately resigned from Ashford to join me. For the first time, I became a CEO in my own right, and I fully owned a company that was truly mine. During the new employee orientation, as I looked at the admiring eyes in the audience, a sense of pride swelled within me. Power and money bring not only status but also a deep sense of pride from within. Before, I was always in the background, thinking it was enough to help Victoria, that she would always remember my kindness. Now I realize, rather than hoping others will remember your good deeds, it's more practical to hold these things firmly in your own hands. I couldn't be bothered with Victoria's situation anymore and directly filed for divorce. My top-tier lawyer told me that with the evidence I had, I could make Victoria leave with nothing, and I would probably get the divorce decree in about 3 months. So I began to focus on my work with peace of mind. But to my surprise, not long after, a scandal erupted in the industry. It turned out that crazy couple had imploded. Ethan, fearing the huge debts, had fled. But Victoria wasn't about to let him go. She provided evidence to the police, stating that everything had gone through Ethan's hands, and that Ethan was the executive president, so he should bear the responsibility. Just when everyone thought Ethan would take the fall, he suddenly reappeared. He released many of Victoria's indecent photos and videos online, claiming that Victoria had seduced him and he was just a tool. Ethan's accusations against Victoria were sharp and pointed with that Victoria's image as a powerful businesswoman was completely destroyed. In Ethan's accusations, Victoria was a slut, a financial industry groupie. When I saw the news, I felt no emotion. I only saw that Ethan had deleted his old social media posts showing off their relationship. The post about the outrageously expensive Hermes underwear was also gone. I sneered. Is that all? I really thought their love was so deep, stronger than gold. But when disaster strikes, they fly their separate ways. Ethan became more and more outrageous. He even started a live stream talking at length about Victoria's private life. He wanted public opinion to completely destroy Ashford and Victoria. I also received a call for help from Victoria, but I just glanced at it and hung up. A case of dogs biting dogs. What did it have to do with me? Once next month passed, I would have my divorce decree. Victoria and I would be strangers, and I don't meddle in the affairs of strangers. Chapter 8. To my surprise, the next day, Victoria appeared downstairs at my company. She had dark circles under her eyes and looked so haggard that I almost didn't recognize her. Husband, I'm begging you, don't block me. Please save me. We're still husband and wife. Ashford is your life's work. How can you just watch it fall apart? Are you going to watch me go to jail? I watched as Victoria knelt down and kowtowed to me, her eyes bloodshot. But I felt no sympathy, only found it laughable. Isn't this the result you asked for? You regret it now, but what were you doing before? When you and Ethan were barking at me, what good does crying do now? It's too late. Besides, once this month is over, I'll get the divorce decree even if you drag your feet. And yes, Ashford was my life's work, but my knowledge and abilities are all in my head. I can always start over. Other than the day we finalize the divorce, I don't want to see you again. Please, help yourself. With that, I turned to leave, but Victoria lunged forward like a madwoman and hugged my leg. But before she could speak, Ethan, who had somehow disguised himself to get in, appeared. He was holding a phone on a selfie stick, live streaming, and shoved the camera right in Victoria's face, capturing her disgraceful state. Victoria, you bitch, I knew it after you were done using me. You came crawling back to your ex-husband. You kept me, forced me to have relations with you. Do you know that's illegal? Folks, look, this is the slut. This is the president of Ashford, Victoria Ashford. She has a husband but still seduces men outside. Shameless Victoria quickly covered her face, and I broke free, immediately putting distance between us. Ethan continued his passionate rant, saying the nastiest things he could think of. Victoria had never been subjected to such humiliation. She exploded and started trading insults with Ethan. "You scumbag, you said you loved me and were willing to be the other man. I bought you luxury cars and Hermes. When I had money, did I ever mistreat you? And now you dare to slander me. Has your conscience been eaten by a dog? My company is ruined because of you, my family is ruined because of you, and now you want to ruin me? I'm telling you it's impossible, believe it or not, I'll kill you." Seeing Victoria's fury, Ethan actually smiled. He aimed his phone at Victoria's face, wanting to capture her desperate, cornered state. "Did you all hear that? She said she's going to kill me. Is there any law and order left in this society? It's all been corrupted by rich people like them, everyone. Remember this disgusting face. If you see her on the street, you'd better walk the other way. Who knows, she might go crazy and bite you after ranting for a while." Ethan turned off the live stream and stared at Victoria menacingly. "Stop your barking. Give me $10 million right now and I'll leave the country immediately. I'm not taking the fall for your company's mess." Then he turned to me and said contemptuously, "Sincere Clark, you're a waste of space too. Can't even keep your own wife in check. Your head is a field of green." As Ethan spoke, he took out his phone to take a picture of me. Before I could react, Victoria suddenly rushed forward and bit down hard on Ethan's ear. A pig-like squeal erupted from Ethan. He reached up, and his hand came away covered in blood. An ear had fallen to the ground. Chapter 9. Ethan gasped in pain and slapped Victoria across the face, knocking her to the ground. "You bitch, still not satisfied," he began to kick her randomly. "You old hag, you cheated on me because you have no ability of your own, and now you dare to bite me. I'll kill you today." His eyes were red with rage, completely oblivious to the fact that Victoria, groaning on the ground, had slowly gone silent. By the time he came to his senses, blood was pooling beneath Victoria. A small voice was heard pleading, "The baby, our baby." The onlookers were completely stunned. Ethan, who had been seeing red, also froze. Someone must have called the police because they arrived shortly after and brought the situation under control. Ethan knelt on the ground, clutching Victoria's stomach, completely panicked. "Vicky, I didn't mean to." "I was wrong, I'm so sorry." Victoria had already closed her eyes. The scene was a complete mess. After Ethan was handcuffed and taken away, I, as a witness, was also taken to the police station to give a statement. The police quickly understood the situation and released me. The incident caused quite a stir, but I didn't pay much attention. After all, I knew very well whose child was in Victoria's belly. By the time I received my divorce certificate, Ethan had been formally sentenced to prison. What I didn't expect was that Victoria, due to excessive blood loss, had been rushed into the emergency room. Chapter 10. The doctor said she was already extremely weak. Combined with the premature birth of a full-term baby and excessive bleeding, the shock and anger had overwhelmed her. Her condition was critical by the time she reached the hospital. Ethan was sentenced to 10 years for assault causing grievous bodily harm. I had expected Ethan to appeal, but I don't know if it was because he lost the child or out of guilt, but Ethan accepted the sentence and did not appeal. Their case was a sensation online, and Victoria was completely torn apart by the public. After the verdict, netizens dug up everything about the case. They found out that Victoria had been coaxed into cheating by Ethan. Not only did she buy him cars and houses, but even his underwear was Hermes. For him, Victoria fought with me for a divorce, stayed away from home, and even got a tattoo of Ethan's name. The woman carrying his child was kicked by him into the hospital. Netizens also discovered that Ethan had been using Victoria's money to support female college students on the side, living a very lavish life. The tax evasion at Ashford was also Ethan's doing. He had even written on his social media that he never loved Victoria and was only after her company and money. He had planned to get Victoria to divorce me and then take all her money. For a time, sympathy for Victoria drowned out everything else online. Many people cursed Ethan, while some lamented Victoria's fate. Some even found me, wanting to know my opinion. I declined all interviews. It all just felt meaningless. Whether Victoria was pitiful or hateful, she had brought it all upon herself. Why should I be responsible for someone else's life? Am I some kind of saint? As the public outcry grew louder, something no one expected happened. Victoria died. One body, two lives, along with a child in her womb. The internet was in an uproar. At that moment, I was just finishing a cross-border meeting to discuss my company's IPO. Hearing the news, my heart did flutter for a moment. "Mr. Clark, the next meeting is about to start," my secretary reminded me softly. I immediately regained my composure. I knew I would say goodbye to the past. I just never thought it would be in such a tragic way. I strode into the conference room and methodically continued with my work. Saying goodbye to the past every day from now on would be a new beginning for me.